Here this time bringing you a look at Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza, a game following Goro Majima just after the events of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. But before we get into all that, I do need to inform you that this video is in fact sponsored by the game's publisher, Sega, and to that end, the game is available now on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and of course Steam. What's more, there's actually a demo available as well, so you can personally try the game for yourself. You can learn more at the link below down in the description. But with that out of the way, let's actually dive fully into this thing and talk about what this game is all about. The simplest way to put it is that it is an over-the-top pirate adventure featuring ship combat, but also Goro Majima utilizing two different kinds of pirate combat, Mad Dog and Sea Dog, alongside a host of his crewmates to sail the ocean blue, picking up a treasure or two. And in many ways, I would say it's a lot like Infinite Wealth in that it has a lot of almost fever dream-esque mini-games to get up to and a whole host of other things to do. So let's get into specifics from there. So we start the game as, of course, Goro Majima, waking up on a beach having lost his memory. Over the course of the game's opening chapter, we're basically going to get to grips with everything going on. Also, the game's action-focused sort of beat-em-up combat that we're going to utilize to, as a good pirate would, steal his pirate ship that we're ultimately going to wind up sailing the ocean with. Once we've got that ship, every good pirate needs a crew, and that's where things get especially interesting. And so we're going to travel around a few different islands, such as Rich Island, our sort of home base, Nele Island, which was featured in Infinite Wealth for plot reasons, Madlantis, which serves as a hub for, of course, all of the pirates doing their pirate business, and then the explorable section of Honolulu from Infinite Wealth as well, where we're going to meet a lot of the old characters, such as Julie from Julie's Gearworks. She's actually going to fix up our ship for us, and if you are interested in doing some side quests, you may even just learn about some people that we experienced previously in that game. Now, across all those different areas and the actual ocean, we're going to be engaging in all sorts of combat, both ship and ground combat, completing challenges, doing side quests, earning crew members, tracking down treasure, all of which is going to give us access to the things we need to be a successful pirate. But to keep it simple, let's first start with our character. So Goro Majima is going to be earning money and points throughout this adventure. Money is pretty self-explanatory, but as we complete challenges and the like, we earn points as we gain pirate reputation. This reputation, as it increases across 5 different levels, will unlock more and more abilities and things like that for our character to take advantage of, namely by spending those points and that money on the various abilities you might learn to upgrade both things like your base stats, but also one of our 2 different fighting styles, Mad Dog and Sea Dog. Outside of even that, however, we can also pick up various rings along the way, which serve as our gear. We can equip up to 10 of them, 1 for each finger, and these will give us all sorts of extra stats in addition to all those ability upgrades. All of that is going to affect our performance, of course, in the game's more action-oriented combat system, which is, as the pirate life demands, a much faster pace than the turn-based version of the previous Infinite Wealth. But Mad Dog and Sea Dog each have their unique fighting styles. Mad Dog is more of a 1v1 style, or a style more about precision and stunning enemies, if anything, but then Sea Dog, on the other hand, is all about fighting large groups of enemies, allowing us to block from any direction, but also utilize a whole host of different pirate tools, such as a trusty flintlock, a chain hook, utilizing our cutlasses as boomerangs even. We've got some options. Now, on the flip side of that, the Mad Dog, however, can, utilizing one of our signature moves, unleash a bunch of doppelgangers to overwhelm single targets especially, or just generally help yourself out of a bad situation. Now, as you gain more and more abilities, you can do more and more with each of these. From a base, we can actually start stringing combos together to then push enemies into the air for aerial combos, which are fantastic for getting away from large groups of enemies while whittling down a specific target. And then, even later on, you can get a hold of some instruments to summon in some backup, let's call it. Though you'll already have a little bit of backup likely in the form of a tiger known as Goro, or as Noah, our sort of child sidekick, would tell you, a cat. Occasionally he will help you out in combat, but that really just covers the basic ground combat. There's a whole lot more in this game, and that is largely in the form of the ship combat. Now, towards the beginning of the game, once we get access to our basic version of the Goromaru, we'll be able to engage in the basics of this stuff, attacking ships by utilizing machine guns in front, or our various cannons on each side, or just straight up ramming them, I suppose. But really, that's only the tip of the iceberg, because once we get to Honolulu and take care of some objectives, objectives, we can actually start upgrading our ship properly, which includes expanding it for starters, making it a more capable and seaworthy vessel, which is going to give us access to the pirate Coliseum fights where we can do this stuff there. But most importantly, it gives us access to things like appearance customization and the ability to, of course, change out the various aspects of the ship itself to make it more combat ready. Now, on the appearance side of things, it's pretty much what you'd expect. You can change stuff like the hull, various extra little details, everything down to the sail color and all that. Now, the weapons are especially interesting to me. You've got all sorts of different cannons. They each have like cooldowns and things like that. You can even pick up RPGs to utilize. But another big aspect of upgrading your ship is actually getting a proper crew to man it. So this involves wooing people into the pirate life, which can be done through all manner of different approaches. Sometimes merely having a good enough pirate legend already surrounding you is enough. That is to say, you've increased your pirate rank. Other times you can give people gifts, you can straight up pay them, or perform some small task for them, like say a side quest, and they'll eventually be persuaded into joining your crew, at which point you can assign them to the ship's various facilities, such as setting a first mate, people running the cannons, or even joining the boarding party, because whereas most ships can be downed simply by attacking them with your various weapons, particularly strong pirate crews will force you to board them towards the end of those fights, and you'll have to send a boarding party to fight off the entire ship's crew so you can properly defeat them. Now, your ship also has its own upgrade path, even outside of just these customizations. You'll be able to do things like expand the amount of people that can be manning certain parts of the ship, its overall durability, allowing you to get pretty nitty-gritty with the various customizations to make sure this thing is sailing exactly the way you want it to. And I assume sailing the way you want it to is going to lead you to the game's various treasures, as this would hardly be a pirate game if we weren't after some booty. And thus, there are various little islands and shores dotted throughout the various ocean areas we can sail through that are effectively little mini dungeons that we can fight our way through to the end, picking up gold and loot along the way, but it ultimately culminates in finding a treasure of some sort. This is a, of course, item of pirate legend that is going to give us both money, but also points towards our next pirate rank, and in some cases, even other benefits, like some of these can be rings or extra equipment to use in combat, like say a pistol. So they're pretty much always worth tracking down. And yet, believe it or not, that's really only scratching the surface of what this game is, even if it is hitting the core mechanics, because in addition to all that stuff, we see the return of all sorts of things we could do in Infinite Wealth just around Honolulu, in addition to some new things. Now, we see returning mini-games like Crazy Delivery, which was a personal favorite of mine, a questionable leisure activity in Sicko Snap, or even the addition of a kart racer via Dragon Kart. So, for all those reasons and more, there's plenty of reason to check out the fever dream that is Goro Majima's memory loss through the events of Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza. And to that end, as a reminder, again, down below in the description there is a link to the game's website where you can, of course, learn more about all of this, including the fact that the game is out now on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Steam, including a demo where you can check all this out for yourself. But for this particular video, I think that's pretty well gonna wrap it up. So to that end, I'd love to know what you think about this one down in the comment section below, which of course means to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of all that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing